take me far away under sycamore trees in the dark trees that blow.
Welcome to Twin Peaks Unwrapped. I'm your host, Ben Durant, and beside me is...
Bryon Kozaczka. How's it going, Ben?
Great, and we've got Jeremiah from Take the Ring. How are you, Jeremiah?
Good, how you guys?
Great. It's so exciting. You have a new video out. I love all these videos you've done in the past, really kind of laying out Twin Peaks, but you've got a new one where you kind of take a visit to the actual locations of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I'm glad you checked it out. It did really well. Just briefly, early 2019, I shifted jobs, and my wife said, I was like, oh, I want to take a vacation before I start the new job, and she was like, well, you should do your Pacific Northwest trip you always talk about, and so that's what we did. And it was kind of last minute, and I borrowed a camera from a buddy, and was like, well, I got the YouTube channel, like I'll take some shots and I'll make like a 10-15 minute, like add some music and some shots, and people that watch my channel, they'll get a kick out of that. I had a bunch of stuff going on and picked it up. It sat on the shelf for a year, and then around COVID quarantine time, I was like, oh yeah, I got all that footage. And so it turned into more of a travel documentary kind of thing.
Yeah. So the video is called 3 Days in Twin Peaks. And that was one of my first questions I was going to ask you is like, when did this happen? Like, I imagined it didn't happen during COVID-19 here.
No. Yeah, it was early last year. It's cool because I put it together this year. So when I kind of wrote the script, I tried to keep it timeless. I do mention it's around Twin Peaks' 30th anniversary,
right? And
for the Stephen Millers and the hardcore people, you could watch it and maybe pinpoint, because it's pre Tweed's new ownership.
Okay.
So there's the shot of the walkway with the pictures of Norma and the Wrapped in Plastic magazines. I guess they've redone all that.
I didn't even realize that.
Recently.
Wow.
But anyway, like the hardcore crazy Twin Peaks nerds might be able to pinpoint it when exactly it was filmed based on certain things. But I just tried to keep it kind of loose because, didn't want to tie it to a specific time period, because that's kind of what the show's all about, etc.
It's timeless.
Would you have to, did you, before you even went there, did you have to reach out to people, say, okay, I want to go visit the log, or I want to go to certain places and let them know, hey, I want to come by and video record this?
Yes and no. I basically took the Blue Rose magazine number 8, that's got all the coordinates.
Yeah.
And I put a PDF together I ran through and grabbed some screenshots of like the sign and couple shots. I was like, well, if I'm there, I definitely want to try to kind of like line these up and see what happens. But a lot of that stuff was accidents. A lot of that stuff was, so the Kiana Lodge is like 2 hours away from Snoqualmie Valley, right?
Yeah.
The Great Northern and Laura's Log. So I did send an email ahead of time, just like, hey, I'm a Twin Peaks fan. I'm going to be in the area. Can I stop by? But like I said, it was kind of last minute. Didn't send the email till the weekend, so it's like it's Monday morning, and I'm headed there, and I hadn't heard back yet. So I ended up just basically knocking on the door of the office and making sure there was nothing going on, and saying, hey, I'd like to take some pictures of the log and maybe walk around the property a little bit, and they were fine with it. And I think on their website it says, shoot us a message or give us a call, make sure we don't have anything going on. And then everything else is exteriors for the most part. I didn't call up the Salish Lodge to say I'm going to take some video of the falls, because I mean there's 100 people there taking pictures of the falls, right? So, but then the sheriff's station I did. I walked in, knocked on the door, and said, "Hey, Twin Peaks fan, you got anything going on? Can I walk around a little bit?" And I think that's pretty much anybody really needs to do, is either call ahead or find an email, or if you do show up there on the day, be polite and
definitely. Yeah, what I love about your video is you're in your car, so in some ways I feel like you're driving us into Twin Peaks. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like that, the way you kind of edited this throughout your video and stuff. It's kind of fun.
Cool. I'm glad you like that. That another last minute. I had gotten my wife a GoPro a couple years ago, and I got a strap harness thing. So that's literally my wife's GoPro strapped to my head as I'm driving around, the town. So
now you got that hotel that Teresa Banks was in. Wasn't that? Why did I think that was demolished?
No, we were there. I don't think it was.
I know, but for some reason I thought more recently it was destroyed. But maybe I'm confusing it.
I think they were the school, but they were redoing that. They were redoing all the rooms except for the one room that Lynch worked on. They're renovating, I think.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. That's good. I mean, I was wondering if you got some stuff that maybe isn't even here anymore, but.
Oh yeah, probably. No, when I went there, I mean, I just kind of pulled up and just like, here's the sign, here's what it looks like, and took off. I mean, I was only there for like 5 minutes or something. I just thought, I was like, oh, that's the Phil Jeffries and the Fire Walk With Me motel.
Right. If I'm not mistaken, you didn't go in the room, huh?
No, I tried to cut. I mean, most of it's pretty much just exteriors, and like it was very loose. Like I said, I was starting a new job. I wanted to go on vacation. So we'd spent a couple of days in Seattle. We went whale watching up north. We went to another part. But I blocked off this like 2.5, 3 days to be in the Snoqualmie area. And I was like, I'm not going to stress about this. I have a camera. I have a list of places. It's like the scene with the Twin Peaks signs, got the guy with the pickup truck parked there, you know. It's like I could have gone back and tried it again. I actually had a couple lines in there in my script about, hey, this is not going to be perfect because life's not perfect, and Twin Peaks is a real place, and you're going to go somewhere, and the coffee might not be great, or the fall, it might be raining when you go to the falls. I had this kind of thing about how like you need to be able to embrace like but it was literally like, go to the sign, set up the shot, 5-10 minutes, take a look around, deep breath, go to the sheriff's station, knock on the door. Hey, can I come in for a minute? I mean, like, it was like run and gun. try to enjoy it, take it in, try to relax, enjoy myself, try to capture some stuff that I know, like, guys like us would like, Twin Peaks fans would be interested in.
Yeah.
So what was probably your favorites? Maybe you can do more than one, but what was your favorites when you actually got there? It was just, you're in awe and you're just like, wow, I'm actually seeing these locations for.
Yeah, it was weird. It sounds corny, but like the whole thing was, for me, because I've been a fan since I was 15 or something, like 25 years or something, and always wanted to go. Never thought I would. And, you kind of get there, and I mean, the Kiana Lodge is the first place, like, just kind of blew my mind. Like, oh, there's where Pete was standing. There's the log, and you go inside, and like, I remember all this artwork on the walls and stuff from the show. I like Olallie State Park a lot. And that was a weird thing because it was like pouring down rain and like, it was just, but I was like, well, I got to do it. And you go there, and I think that was the most interesting because it's Deer Meadow. So you've got the Deer Meadow Mountain and the Deer Meadow Sheriff's Station. And then you go in the woods, and then it's like the return stuff. You got the Nido's Portal and the Jackrabbit's Palace, and I'm kind of a nature guy a little bit. I don't do it as much as I should, but I like camping and going out, spending time outdoors with friends and stuff. And that was just beautiful being up in I have woods and forests and lakes and rivers and stuff, but I mean, everything's super green because it's so wet. It's wet and moisture, and like, I mean, I had to turn the saturation down. I had to take some color out of some of those videos because it was so like kind of like overwhelming, you know.
Right.
So that was a big thing to me, but I loved it all. Like I couldn't. Harry Dean Stanton's bench, Mount Si itself, the sheriff's station with the. I mean, I probably just kind of stood and looked at the mill for. I'm kind of I wouldn't call myself a history buff, but I like history and looking up old buildings and things, and you know that stuff's super interesting. So just kind of had a quiet moment, just staring at the sawmill for a little bit. Yeah, I loved it all. So
and your video plays like a history, like you're watching a History Channel. You know, it plays like an A&E or a History Channel, sort of like here's Suquamish, here's like the history behind Twin Peaks, and that's why I think it's so cool because you get these little nuggets of an old photo, a picture a video you took with a split screen with the original, which was kind of, I love that. You matched it up very nicely. So, but two things, when you were at the sheriff's station, were they still selling pieces of Kimmy's desk? Because when we were there, they had a keychain and they had destroyed her desk and they were selling little pieces of keychain that was her desk.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, they're probably all out.
Yeah.
We showed up for a festival, and the show was actually airing in 2007. And what I'm jealous is that you got to see Jack Rabbit's Palace, because the episode hadn't aired yet. So first of all, we wouldn't even know about it. But it's still like some people probably stumble upon it. It's quite an amazing site, I think, the way it's structured, and so it's so cool that you got to get to experience that.
Yeah, I did like it, and it's literally a stump of a giant tree, and I bet if you went there right now, like it's probably almost gone. Because if you notice, I don't know about gone completely, but the kind of the spire, the tower part of it, like the thing that pokes up. So when I went there, if you watch the video, my Jack Rabbit's Palace is way darker than the one at the show, and that's because it's soaking wet, and it's really just, I mean, I imagine within a year or two, it's going to be like nothing left, or especially the spire, the tower part.
It did look thinner, your version.
Yeah. So it's eventually just going to disintegrate because it's not petrified or anything. You know what I mean? It's not like preserved. But again, another reason why just capturing the moment and trying to, and I hope that somebody goes there in a year or two, and the fact that it'll be gone or changed is going to impact somebody a different way. Like, it's sad that it's not what it is, but here's where it was. And there's places like that, still like Ronette's Bridge, used to extend over the roadway, and that's how you see it in Fire Walk with Me and some of those early, but that part of that road has been torn down. And so the bridge is still there, which is cool, but you can't stand on it and walk across it the way Ronette did. You know what I mean?
That's funny. It doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah. In the like when we went, I don't remember us seeing this, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but next to the Roadhouse is the Bookhouse Boys shack, and
I don't think I didn't.
We didn't see that, but in your video, you give us the shack, which we did not know was there because I think we showed up late. We went in, we watched the show. We were inside that place the entire evening.
Jeremiah, we needed you there to give us a tour to be able to show us where things are.
Yeah, the shack was right there, but it looks like you were showing us footage where there's construction happening, or there is a construction thing blocking it, so you can't even get that wide shot with it part of the Roadhouse. Right.
If you really want to get weird, that's speaking of, we can talk about Steven in a little bit, how he helped me out. But right before I dropped the episode, I sent it to him, or the video, right before I put the video out, I sent it to him, and he was like, oh, hey, just so you know, that fenced business has now been taken down. So now, as of this, within the last couple months, that fence is gone. So now you can stand directly in front of the shack.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay, nice.
So that's one of those things I was explaining, like, you might be able to pinpoint, and if people watch that video and go there today, little things like the double R, the fence in front of the shack, I mean, there are things that are already changing.
That's good.
We don't
So
have to get into it too much, but I think, somebody owned that property and they did not want people anywhere near them, and they were doing their own thing, and they just really frowned upon people being next to their space. And I'm curious to know if that same people own that space, or what's may have happened that the fence is going away.
that's a good question. I am under the impression when I was there, that fence is part of it was basically like a place selling RVs,
Okay.
like camping equipment. And I haven't checked it recently, but Google Satellite, it should still be there. But it's kind of like, I would say 50 yards away, you can see like a garage and there's RVs and stuff. But the fence they built just around their property, which just happens to block the view of that shack.
Yeah.
But I don't know who owns that shack. I don't know what property it's actually sitting on. It could be that business, but I guess Steven told me that business moved.
Okay.
And the fence has been taken down now because he's got little spies and birds all over the valley. So he told me a buddy just called him up and said, hey, they took that fence down in front of the Bookhouse.
Yeah.
And then so I sent him a preview of the video because he helped me on it a little bit. And he's like, oh, hey, I don't know if you want to change it. I'm like, no, I'm not changing nothing.
It is funny that, like, with the pilot, it's been 30 years since things have, filmed these locations, and things have changed, but still so much is still kind of there. You still can recognize a lot of the locations, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty special. And I kept the video to mostly the pilot and Fire Walk with Me and the return. And, people like my parents and some people have seen the video and don't watch the show, don't know anything about it, and they're just appreciate why it's so special. Mm-hmm. So there's filming locations for every movie and every TV show all over the country, and whatever your favorite TV show is, I'm sure you can find a building or props or something that's still around from when it was there. And especially places like New York and Los Angeles, I mean, it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
But Twin Peaks is unique because it's a specific location in a specific area, and it's kind of a bunch of little towns that kind of represent one fictitious town, and a lot of that stuff is still standing, and they revisited it. The pilot of the original series, the Fire Walk with Me film a couple years later, and they went back and did a lot of stuff 30 years later, or 25. So it's unique and special, and I think the people will recognize that. Twin Peaks fans already kind of know this, right? But people that don't follow the show are just like, holy cow, that's crazy. Like, they went back to the same spot, and this such and such is still there, and man, that's wild. So
yeah. Ben, I was telling Jeremiah before you hopped on, I was saying I'm watching this, and I was like, it's hurting my heart in a way that it hurts my heart that I wish I could be there. I wish we weren't all in a situation where we are in right now, because I want to go back. But I mean, it hurts in a way, like, because I love that place. It is so very special. When you're actually inside the sheriff's station, I'm like, I feel like we were right there a couple of years ago, and it looks the same. And it's just, man, I can't wait until we're done with this, that we could travel safely. And I feel like that's like one of the first places I want to go to, and I think it's magical. I think you captured some special places, and it's so great. I think it came out in a great time where people are stuck at home. Traveling is not a thing you should be doing. So you at least you have this. You have a window to a place that's very special to a lot of people. And to, like you're saying, people who don't even know the show could watch us and appreciate the history that you bring with it. I think that makes it extra special, because not only you're getting the sites, you're getting some TV history, but you're getting actual history of the locations. And that, I think that makes it more real for people who have no idea what any of this means, because it's on YouTube. Anybody could stumble upon this. So I think what you've done is very special, and I think it's perfect timing. I agree
with you, and I think what we're saying really is that, like, usually we would be going to the festival around this time. It's usually, I think it is usually around July time that people go to Washington to the festival, and they go to see their friends and to meet the stars and all that. But a lot of times they go for the locations because it's so special and stuff. And so since we all can't, with the COVID-19, we can't go there really. It's so special, Jeremiah, that you kind of brought it to us, that you've made this. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I was saying before we started too that like, I don't know how much of it was intended or how much of it was just love, but it's definitely of the time. Like I said, I've been so consumed with other things that I hadn't even had time to sit down and really look at some of that footage until quarantine. And I was working remotely and working from home. So, that just like that extra, don't have that hour commute. So I can jump on the computer before work where I'd normally be in the car and kind of like look through some stuff and start organizing and writing things and whatever. But part of that was intentional. Like now I have the time to do it because of quarantine. And I think people will like this because we can't go, no one can travel right now. But, in my mind, while I was doing it, it was more thinking ahead, like, hopefully this inspires people now. So when we can start traveling, they'll go there later and maybe they'll learn a little something now. I told Bryon I didn't really intend the nostalgia. Like it was unintended to the people that have already been there, the people that were missing the place, the people that normally go to the fest that aren't going to the fest, that kind of stuff I hadn't really thought of until it came out. And then I'm getting these comments and stuff, and but like he said, I didn't want to make anybody's heart hurt, but I guess
in a good way. I mean, it makes,
yeah. Like, because I totally get it. I mean, it was, it's definitely of this moment. It'll be interesting to see how if 5 years, 10 years from now, somebody watched that video, how it's different. Are things back? Is Kiana Lodge? I mean, they're closed, right? They can't do it. They're, like hopefully they're still around. Hopefully, I think that we'll adapt. I mean, I don't want to get into all the COVID stuff, but I mean, there's a good chance that it's not going to go away, or it's going to be still be around to a certain extent. And even if there is a vaccine, it might be kind of like the flu shot where it's not 100%, and we're going to all have to kind of adjust certain things. And so anyway, it was filmed before COVID. It came out during COVID, and how it plays in the future is going to be as interesting to me as you guys.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife today, and we were just talking about how, like, in the Depression, you have family members who'd say, "Oh, I lived in depression, and that's why I live my life this way," or I, rationalize and stuff. And we're living through COVID-19, and I'm sure our children and other people will be like, "Why do you act this way?" It's like, because we went through the COVID-19. So things might change and stuff. I hope the Double R Diner Tweeds is still there, and we still get to have these moments. But things are going to change. We're going to have to live a little different now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you captured a moment in time before that, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, because you showed parts of Seattle in the beginning there, and I mean, things have changed there. So, I mean, you just grabbed a great moment before 2020 happened, and I think that's awesome. We get to cherish that moment before 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
A time capsule. You created a beautiful time capsule.
You have other things that you're thinking about working on, or that you are currently working on for Take the Ring?
Yeah, I got something that's kind of a surprise. I'm not going to talk about just yet, but I'd like to get back to doing the kind of my like regular episodes where I'm picking like a specific topic and breaking those down. That last one I did was the town of Twin Peaks, and I tried to kind of cover the town. So like the last 2 years I've been in the original series of the town. I made the documentary of the town, and I broke down like all the characters and stuff of the town, and that was kind of too big. That was a lot.
That was a good one though.
The Ring and the One-Armed Man and the more kind of lore stuff. But I kind of had to do a lore episode. I kind of had to do like, okay, how does the town fit into all of this stuff? So I'm hoping to get more into like the villains and different things with the regular episode. And I mean, I've been saying this for a while. It's tough because life gets in the way, right? You know, like it took me almost all of last year to finish up that last episode because I had so much graphics and stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then I had to like redo. That's why the Snoqualmie stuff. So I'm just now getting to stuff that I shot and did last year.
Right.
So I'm hoping to have at least 2 or 3 more videos out maybe by the end of the year. Maybe like a standard episode. I want to get back to my talk about Judy stuff where I can do season 3 theories because I haven't even watched The Return. It's going on 2 years now because I basically rewatched the old show, the original series, to do the last episode, and then you know the majority of that the travel doc is Pilot and Fire Walk With Me stuff. So it's like I'm ready to rewatch The Return. I'm ready to speculate, and you know I'm listening to John Thorne and JB Minton's podcast, and
it's good.
Getting excited about revisiting The Return because I haven't been there in a while.
And your show, I mean, I have to say it's such a good refresher on things. Like I love it's concise. It's 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, you did have that long one about the town, but I think it deserved to be that long. But it's great because you condense a lot of the lore in a very easy way to understand, a linear way to understand something that's not linear at all. I mean, you always bring in the books and you bring in other things. And for me, like, oh my God, like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I forgot about that too. And I always go back to your videos on YouTube because I think they're well done, but just giving us the information we need in a linear way, an easy way to understand something that can be very complicated. You do a great job doing that.
Thanks. I appreciate that a lot because that's basically the goal. So some people, I get some nasty comments sometimes like, this isn't analysis. This is just telling us stuff that we already know. And like, I'm like, well, I didn't do this to speculate on what David Lynch may or may not have been thinking about.
Right.
I'm the guy, and I'm kind of doing it for myself too. It's kind of, I'm creating something what I always wanted. You know, I grew up watching the show and I was a big fan, you know, but then 2014 with the entire mystery box set came out and I kind of rewatched everything in HD Blu-ray and I'm like, so wait, the jumping man, like, is he in anything else? Like, is he just in Fire Walk With Me? And like, okay, now we got these missing pieces. Like, okay, so like, you know, I was always just kind of like, every time I thought I knew something about Twin Peaks, I'd watch it again and all these new details, different things would come up. And, you know, so after The Return was over, I was like, you know what, like, I kind of got something to say about this stuff and I want to help people put things in order. And the original idea was like, I'm going to do an episode on, you know, the Arm or the Man from Another Place, and like, which I haven't done yet, but everything you need to know about Philip Jeffries, everything you need to know about Laura Palmer, everything you need to know. Like, you can never do everything, and a lot of things in Twin Peaks are interpretive and stuff. But the thesis behind my show is, what do we actually know about this subject? Is it in the show? Is it in the movie? Is it in The Return? Is it referenced in the books? Is it how, like, who of importance has something to say about this character? How does it fit in the story? How does this person fit in the movie? It's kind of like what we know. And then I'll do some like super geeky stuff like the diary pages for the lore episode. Like, I try to put one thing in each episode that's like super geeky, like for people like us, you know, that like, okay, but wait, I thought there was only one missing diary page. Well, in Fire Walk With Me, like, her book's all torn up, like it looks like a bunch of missing pages. But in season 2, they only talk about 2 missing pages, but then The Return says 4. So it's like, okay, this will be my research project. So I'll break it down each one. So hopefully somebody who wants to know what's the deal with the diary pages, they'll watch my video and be like, oh, cool, like, so I actually do some research and put some time into it to help helped me, but also for other fans that are like, now what was the deal with the diary pages? Like, well, okay, cool. I did this breakdown. And
I love that breakdown because you put it out there with little graphics. You're like, you can freeze frame that. You can put that in your computer and be like, I need a refresher. You just look at that image. But for me, it's something I think we talked about a long time ago, and I would forget about this. But yeah, I mean, the 4 pages, there was 3, and then Laura Palmer is now Carrie Page. Potentially the missing 4th page is her, and that would be unlocking the mystery. That again is a mystery upon itself, but like that's something I know we talked about when 3 had landed afterwards, and we talked about. But your video reminded me of that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's a great refresher and things I might not have caught or anybody else. I mean, when you do videos or podcasting, you are kind of like doing it. You're doing it because you want to do it, and hopefully the audience will find you because they like what you're doing. It will show. And your video, I mean, the amount of hits it got, I mean, definitely it resonated with a lot of people.
I think so. I mean, it's definitely my most successful video out of the gate. Welcome to Twin Peaks saw my teaser and reached out, and they wanted to do a thing, and which was great. And I'm thrilled that everyone likes it, or most people seem to like it. I was thrilled that Welcome to Twin Peaks did the thing. Again, something that was going to be a 10-minute little extra feature on my YouTube channel with just some images of some locations, like, turned into that. And I'm glad you and people seem to really appreciate the history of it. So I reached out to all those historical societies and licensed and got permission to reproduce those photos. And, like I put a lot of work in that. I mean, that might only be a minute of the whole, I mean, maybe combined it's 2 minutes of the whole, 30-minute thing. I think it's worth it. It's worth spending the time and doing that stuff because people, my dad's a history guy. I just had dinner with a buddy last night who's a history guy, and just thrilled with that stuff. So I appreciate everybody's enthusiasm, and it's really exciting that it turned into something bigger because I think it paid off. People like it. So I think people like it more than they would a little 10-minute thing.
Right. A happy accident,
Yeah.
It's sort of like you planned it, you didn't plan it, and it came out perfect to me anyway.
Perfect timing too.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you overplan things and it doesn't hit, or you just kind of do it casually, and for some reason that's the one everybody loves.
Gentlemen, when 2 separate events occur simultaneously pertaining to the same object of inquiry, we must always pay strict attention.
Jeremiah, you mentioned Stephen Miller, I think, was helping you with this video. How did he end up helping you on this?
Actually, for people who don't know, Stephen Miller runs TwinPeaksBlog.com, and it's an amazing resource. And he goes way in depth on locations. He'll go and visit them. He'll take screenshots. He'll go through Google Earths and satellite and break down all this stuff. And I basically was just kind of getting overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed, but just, like I said, it's a short project, and now I'm doing history and graphics, and I'm doing this and that, and I'm writing this script, and it was 1 page, and now it's 10 pages long, and I was like, man, I need to I need some help just double checking some stuff. So I had a couple questions, like, something along the lines of like, is it true you only see the sawmill out the window of the sheriff's station in the pilot? Things that like, because I make the statement like, besides this shot out the window in the pilot, the sawmill it's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be on the other side of town. So I was like, the Twin Peaks blog guy, that Steven guy, he seems cool. Because we'd maybe liked each other's things and commented on each other, and I retweet him sometimes. Like, I'm really a big fan. And I saw him on your show or the anniversary thing, and so I just messaged him. I said, hey, you're basically the expert on locations, and I'm secretly working on a location video, would you want to help me out? And he's, oh yeah, sure, no problem. So he was like super great, real excited. Or I showed him the little teaser I'd put out. So he was way into it. And so I sent him, I really want to thank him. I sent him the Google Doc link of my working script. So, you know, I had multiple drafts in there. I had all these little notes made. And so there were certain things when I'm writing, like, you know, the sawmill was built, like, I don't know off the top of my head when it was built, right? So I'll just put some question marks or some X's or whatever. So I had this, you know, 10-page script with a bunch of little question marks and stuff. But and then at the bottom, like highlighted yellow, I said, you know, questions for Stephen Miller. Like, what's the deal with the sheriff's station and the sawmill? And I can't remember what a couple, but I had like three big questions, and I didn't want to waste a ton of his time. So I sent him the Google link. I said, well, here's the script. You can see it if you want. And here's your questions are at the bottom. And, you know, I really appreciate your time. And I woke up the next morning, and he had stayed up like super late. And everywhere in my script that I had a little question mark or X or whatever, he went in and annotated the whole thing.
Wow.
Like, this is what I know. This is what I think. This is, you know, this is correct. Sometimes I would make a statement, but I'd put a little question mark, like, is that 100% true? Like, I need to double check that. Like, that's what I remember being true, but I'm not 100%. So he'd go in and be like, this is correct. This statement is correct.
Yeah.
So I wanted him to answer a couple of questions, and he ended up going through, and he basically saved me like a whole day, at least, maybe 2 days of just research just by going through there. And so I really love his site. I appreciate his help. It was a really good, it's always good in Twin Peaks land to run into, to collaborate.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, tailoring is, it's my thing. I write it. It's my vision, whatever. But I love working with people and other people in the community and other artists. And speaking of, so Josh Howard did the cover of your book.
Yeah. Amazing.
He and I have worked, like, he's contributed some artwork to some of my videos and stuff. And, but working with Stephen was great. And I love collaborating with people on stuff.
So I want to know the answer to this. I was thinking that I'd seen the mill in the pilot on the window with Cooper, I think, at the table. Does the mill show up anywhere else, at least in the original series? So
again, that's one of those things where, as far as Stephen and I know, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Most of the original series, moving forward after the pilot, it's sound stages and stuff. And you're right, like, Cooper and Truman looking at Laura's diary and the bloody towel, like I think the blinds are closed, or they're like, if you look out there and you know what you're looking for, you can kind of see an outline of a building. So technically you're right, but it's when Major Briggs picks up Bobby after being arrested, Bobby and Mike, you know, storming out of the building, and he's talking to the doctor.
Yeah.
First time he's
lawyer, right? Yeah,
the lawyer, and he's talking to the lawyer, and then he turns to Mrs. Briggs, and it's like, I have no idea what's going on here, like, or whatever he says. That's where you get, like, that's a clean shot out the front door. You can really see the mill there. They parked a truck there. There's a logging truck out there. They tried to block most of it, but you can still kind of make it out. So trying to write it in a way, it's like, okay, we're at the sheriff's station, and you can see the mill, and you can see it in the return for a minute, but in Twin Peaks land, it's not really supposed to be across the street. So is that the return being the return and weird, or is it an accident, or, you know? So
I try to justify and say that's not the mill. That's just some stack. I don't know what it is, but I try to, in my mind, I try to justify it as, like, I don't know, it's just some random location across the street there.
Right. Yeah, it's the you know, funeral parlor.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, right.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Every day, once a day, give yourself a present. Don't plan it. Don't wait for it. Just let it happen.
Jeremiah, you mentioned season 3. I'll just plug something that, on Friday nights we are doing watch parties, and in August we are starting season 3 of Twin Peaks. So we use this service called Cast, where up to 100 people can join us and just watch Twin Peaks. So we've been doing this for a while now. We're getting close to Fire Walk with Me, and then we'll start season 3. And yeah, it's a fun Friday night thing that we do. We watch 2 episodes or so, 2 parts a night.
And Ben, we always do an intro, and Ben gets some surprises sometimes.
Sometimes I get some cast on there to say a shout out, send a message and stuff. Yeah, so I haven't really fully watched season. I don't think since it first aired the season 3. I mean, because we do a show weekly, I'm always going to certain episodes and watching pieces of it. Like I'm sure you're doing, Jeremiah, but I haven't really watched it fully through. I think since 27. So 27. What am I saying? 2017.
17.
What year is it?
Nobody knows.
Oh,
at this point.
So that's cool. That's cool. But do you think you'll be rewatching season 3 soon?
I hope so. I really want to. I mean, I want to check out your rewatch. You guys did something recently, and I logged into it. I don't think it was the rewatch. You might have been a recording or some group chat, maybe. It was
our anniversary show.
Maybe like Joel and a bunch of people were on it.
Yeah, it was our anniversary show. We did it live on Zoom. We recorded it. The problem was we posted the information on social media, and we got bombed a couple times. So I was trying to kick people out, and they would come back. I was letting people in. I should have just put a cap on. I did put a cap on it, but in the beginning, they would change their names to people who were already in the room. So then it became very confusing. But
weird.
We were doing our anniversary show. It came out fine. It came out great. We put it on YouTube, and the audio went up.
I'll try to jump into with that season 3 rewatch. That's Friday nights.
So so I know it's so confusing. Yeah, I guess it's a rewatch. Yeah, I mean, if you ever have time on Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern is when we and on our Twitter I usually have a link to how to get on and stuff.
Yeah.
So right now we're in season 2, so I think we have 2 more weeks left to the end of the season, and then we'll start Fire Walk with Me in August, and I think by mid-August we'll be in season 3.
I'd be into that. Like I said, I've been wanting to rewatch season 3 really bad. I actually just now cracked open Z to A box set, and I'm just now watching the extra features, which is the reason I bought it.
Yeah.
At Christmas time, I'm just now getting to that, but that stuff's pretty awesome.
Nothing beats the taste sensation when maple syrup collides with ham.
So Jeremiah, can you tell people how can they check out your 3 Days in Twin Peaks video, and how can they follow you?
Yeah, I'm Take the Ring on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and just search Take the Ring, also takethering.com is my domain name, and it will take you to the YouTube page. And on Twitter, it's at TakeTheRing430. Instagram is TakeTheRing430, and it should be Facebook.com/TakeTheRing430 is the page. So I'll do random update. I mean, the YouTube channel is the main focus, and I'm on Twitter sometimes, and I'll post some screenshots and different things on Instagram. But yeah, I've got 4 quote-unquote regular episodes that kind of break down topics. I've got a Talk About Judy video, which is a season 3 theory video based on the Arbok theory, and 3 Days in Twin Peaks is also on takethering.com, and that should be the newest video. It's doing real well, so appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to whatever you do next.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I'm really, really, real pleasure to be here.
If anybody has a comment, question, or a theory, give us an email at twinpeaksunwrapped@gmail.com. Everything we mentioned today is in the show notes. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Play. And follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. And every Friday night, catch us on Cast. And BlueRoseMag.com for all your Twin Peaks-related material. And our book that's a limited supply. Get yours today, and we'll see everybody the next time in a couple weeks or so.
After a short walk in Railroad Park, I came upon the Snoqualmie Centennial log that's showcased in the extended openings of the pilot in Season 2 of the original series. The massive old-growth Douglas fir has since been housed in part of the old Weyerhaeuser mill for protection from vandals and rabid Peaks fans. It was time to wet my whistle, so I walked back down Centennial Trail toward the park's gazebo that happens to be featured in a deleted scene from the pilot. The well-known Easter Park gazebo, filmed on the shore of Malibu Lake in Agora Hills, California, was lost in the Woolsey Fire of November 2018. So this is technically the only Twin Peaks gazebo left in the world, and it still looks fantastic. And so I ended my first day in Twin Peaks at Smokey Joe's Tavern, also known as Elks Point Number 9, Sarah Palmer's favorite hangout. After kicking back a couple of cold ones with some laid-back locals and staff, it became one of my favorites as well. During my attempt to explain how the setup of the bar was changed to shoot the scene in The Return, I discovered some intentional and not so intentional Easter eggs around the joint. The sun began to set, so off I went into the rainy night to find a clean, reasonably priced room. I knew the next day was going to be a long one.